Hey guys, it is Orlando with Filmmaking, and today we're talking Canon C50. I'm watching the CVP in-depth review, and I'm gonna just kind of go over based on what I'm seeing on that channel about this camera. Now, I personally have not seen anything about the Canon. I have had friends tell me a little bit about it, which kind of annoyed me so much so that I made a quick reel on Instagram. And that one kind of blew up, and it's me making fun of while we're installing a new Alexa Mini LF onto a car rig. In my ear is someone that's just kind of yelling and yapping about how the Canon cinema is changing the world. So yeah, did you hear about the new Canon C50, the C50, bro? I can't wait to get that one. It's gonna be the best thing.
Great.
I mean, it's gonna be the most cinematic camera I've ever seen in my life. I mean, it's just gonna make you want to get rid of everything that you got, bro.
Who needs
Canon
this?
C50, yeah. Who needs something like this, bro? It just doesn't make sense. So my background with Canon, just so you know, is that I started with the Canon T2i. I jumped over from the Panasonic HVX 200. This was some of the first cameras that had that internal, an internal digital media. It wasn't mini DV. Mini DV is tape, even though that was digital as well. It was still tape based. But I jumped over from the Panasonic HVX 200, got rid of that camera, and went into the Canon T2i. Of course, I wanted the Canon 5D, but it was just too expensive at the time. The Canon T2i, then I moved over from the T2i to a 7D, and the Canon 7D was the APS-C version of the 5D, and I used that quite extensively for a bit of time. And then from the 7D, I went ahead and moved over into the 5D Mark II, finally being able to afford that. Then I got a couple of 6Ds, and they were also full frame cameras from Canon. And then I moved into the Canon EOS C100s. The C300s had already come out. I had a bunch of friends that had those, and they used them. C100 came out, and I think that changed the game for a lot of what we're doing. Back then, we were doing weddings, and the C100 was like that perfect camera for weddings. I think it was pretty much designed for that. And then from there, I ended up jumping to a C200 after getting rid of a couple things, and I tried using that more as a documentary type camera, and I really enjoyed that camera, even though I had it for a very, very little time. And then after that, I really haven't messed with Canons. I have messed with the Canon C70. I have a couple of friends that have those cameras, and I have shot several projects on them. And there's several things I did like about those cameras. I also did a pretty big project with Peter McKinnon and those guys on the 1DX Mark, whatever it was at the time, Mark IV, which I hated that camera, but it was required for that particular project. With that said, I'm looking at the C50 right now on the CVP, and I'm just going to give you a little bit of my insight on it, and if it's worth it. Honestly, I'm a little bit biased, just because we do use higher end cinema cameras. I mean, some of the cameras that we use are like the Arri Alexa Mini LF. Besides that, I also use the FX3, like what I'm using right now, for our vlogging, and it's actually becoming very, very popular, and has been popular on interview style documentary. With that said, I'm going to go ahead and start playing this and find out some of the specs that they have here. The camera looks cool though, I'm not gonna lie. It looks like a FX3.
Mainly use Canon's VCM series of primes, including their new...
I used to own almost all the primes, all the Canon series, L series primes. Those are super fun. They look great, and one of my buddies still has a Canon, the Cine set, and we use those all the time as well. And I love the look of the Canon glass. It's very warm, but it's pretty, and I've always enjoyed them. It's something that you can go to right away.
We also shot some stills with the C50.
So there's a stills camera too. The FX3, I didn't even know it had stills in it. I made another joke that cinema cameras don't have stills in them. And then my buddy showed me that the FX3 does, and I was like, oh, okay, whatever. And I did some. I tried messing around with it a little bit. Yeah, being able to switch from photos to stills, like a proper stills, because I think the FX3 stills portion is like 12 megapixels or something like that. Honestly, it just doesn't matter. It all turns to 720 or whatever, or like a very small thumbnail, right?
The C50 features a brand new.
All right. Sure. New sensor or whatever. I don't really care about. At this point, the sensors, all the cameras, especially on the top, on the higher end, or even that are like serious production cameras, all the sensors look good at this point. If everyone's even allowing you to get raw or whatever, they're all pretty much doing the same at this point. They all look great. You can match most cameras. A good colorist can do that. So I really don't care much about the sensor technology, and I don't even think the industry much cares about it, because even on the higher end, the Alexa Mini stuff, like people are still using the regular Alexa Mini. That sensor's more than 10 years old at this point. I did a video where I tested all the red cameras, all the way from the first MX all the way to the VistaVision Raptor. And a lot of people comment on how much they love the old sensors. I even showed the last video some music videos that I did on the Mysterium X video back in the day that still look pretty decent. So the sensor stuff, I really don't care. The resolution thing, it's a 7K sensor. I don't know what it's outputting. I don't know if you get 7K just yet, but I'll tell you one thing that coming from the red background as well, knowing that we had the ability to shoot in 5K and 6K for so long, and then it pushed up to 8K. We found that didn't really even matter. I would say that if your grandma has a 4K TV, then most likely 4K has been adopted across the board. And I would probably say it would probably make sense to say that most grandmas probably still have a 1080p TV, and they're probably down resing stuff to that TV. We recently, about 3 years ago, filmed a project for HBO Max. We filmed it in 1080p, and it was released in 720p on HBO Max, which is pretty interesting that's the way that the assets. And we're talking about, this was a nice, a big project. We used the Alexa Mini LF with Cook S4s, and we got to be very, very dynamic with it. And it was really cool. So the 7K thing, like, cool. Like, I think a lot of pixel peepers and stuff, cool. They'll be happy with it. But on our side, on the artistic side, and on the commercial side, I don't think anyone really cares.
But from here, performance looks good up to 5 stops.
So I'm currently filming on the FX3 right now. Honestly, this has been a very, very simple camera to use. Someone asked me already before, why an FX3 over a Komodo or anything like that. I've owned the Komodo. I said I've used the C50 before. This camera is just easy to use, and a lot of people talk about the internal NDs. Dude, I found a K&F concept internal ND for $40 that has minimal color shift. I mean, the old Tiffin NDs back in the day had more color shift than the newer ones do now. So I've been very, very impressed, and they're so cheap that I bought 2, and I'm probably gonna buy more of these ND filters to just have them stacked on all my lenses, especially when I know I'm gonna do an outdoor shoot or a shoot where we do have light. So the internal ND stuff, it's cool, it's great. I do have high-end NDs as well, like $500 a piece, that I can stack in front of any of these. But the FX3 is pretty nice. You put a little ND on there, and you're pretty much good to go. So I'm not surprised with this test. But honestly, like I said, most of the cameras are kind of like how they showed here. They're all doing the same. I hadn't even heard about the Lumix camera. Yeah, it was cool.
And then from there, things start to click. But this is only half of the story. Let's take a look at underexposure. When we underexpose the C50, we can see pretty heavy chroma noise at around -3 stops.
Yeah, I mean, underexposure too, just light your scene. Don't forget to light it.
To be able to manage.
All right, so I'm gonna skip. I don't really care about readouts. Really, like, if you have a good camera that you see is what you see is what you get, you'll get the job done. We've shot with iPhones, with the Samsung phones. Even back then, those were terrible to shoot with, but the product still went out. And overall, like, what I would say on these is that you have to really you have to focus on the project at hand. So this camera might not be the best for everything, and I don't think there is one camera that's suited for everything. Like there's not like a perfect camera for everything, and I think that's one of the flaws that we're getting with a lot of the people that are selling. And honestly, I stopped watching a lot of other YouTubers that they're constantly just selling me stuff because I know that I've been making cool images since 12, 15 years ago with the cameras that were there. So any camera that they put in my hand now, just give me about 30 minutes, make sure I have good NDs and I have a PL mount or an EF mount so I can put some nice glass in front of it and let me get to work. So a lot of this stuff I'm not really tripping about. Okay, so I'm now at the 12-bit Cinema Raw Light. Let's see. Okay, looks like you can do slow motion. So let's look at slow motion here.
260 frames per second, and in 2.5K.
Yeah, that stuff looks pretty good. The slow motion stuff is always fun. I remember using the Red Dragon 6K. The cool thing I loved about that one was that you can shoot in the full frame at 90 frames a second. 6K 90 frames a second. That was pretty dope. And then you can window in, and it got super noisy as you windowed in. But since it's like a 17:9, 90 frames a second, you could film anything, and it was like a 17:1 compression, so the compression wasn't that great. But because you had a 6K image, you can resize it down to 4K or 2K, which most of our deliverables were 2K back then. All that stuff looked great and it looked sharp and it worked really, really well. So I always love when they give you that ability to do slow-mo.
Canon's other Cinema EOS cameras, the C50 doesn't have any sensor-based stabilization, just digital IS, which you can enable.
For the most part, like even the rigs that we have, I always end up having like a big battery because I'm powering a better monitor. I'm powering even the mic that's going in through it is probably a phantom mic, so you need power, and so just adding a little bit of a brick extends that, allows you to put it towards your chest. And I think most people, even though that camera does look like it's a cool handheld, it kind of reminds me of the C100. Like when that came out, that I was like, oh, it's pretty ergonomic. I can hold it to my chest, and I have that little monitor. And I don't remember adding an extra monitor to the C100s. I think I just relied on the autofocus and stuff like that. So that's the one cool thing about Canon, that their autofocus was always really, really good. So who knows? I mean, maybe you don't need all that. Yeah.
Canon offer a good few RF lenses with image stabilization built.
Yes, cool. On these cameras, I use old school stills, Nikon stills. So I don't have IS, and so, but I do have a heavier camera, so it allows us to be a little more stabilized.
By side, they are very similar to each other.
Oh yeah.
The C50 is a little.
Yeah, the C50 and the FX3 look almost exactly alike in terms of the way that they're designed. I do like already the curve that they have on the back of the handle, because the handle on the FX3 is very, very wobbly. And I even saw people adding cages to the top, and I'm like, dude, without rounding it out, on the edge. Let me see if I can grab the one I have. Okay, so like this one here, right? I'm using this FX3 here. Look at this handle here. Like, you see that flex? Like, that's not good, right? And normally what I do is I actually pull this back a bit, and I'll bolt from here to here just so it's more stable, and then I can put stuff on top. But I also remember my C100 and the C300s, man, the top handle on that was always wiggly. It always had a little bit of play, and that's one reason why I hate plastic handles in general. I get it. Why would you put metal? It'll get really, really heavy really easily. So, yeah, but just comparing the two, they look good. And the audio, I remember the audio connections for the C300 were terrible. Almost everyone had an EVF or an audio port that was messed up, and you always had to get that replaced. The C100 was kind of like that too. It had issues. So yeah, hopefully it has like a connect through like the FX3, which has been pretty good.
Or gimbal plate is a single thread locating pin hole behind it.
Yeah, it's kind of dumb. I mean, I forgot how the Sony has it, but that's why you have to add a cage. If you don't add a single hole to it, if you don't have two like a 3/8 and a quarter 20 hole on the bottom of the camera, it's kind of hard to call them professional. That's one of the things that, like, you want to be able to rig some serious stuff to it if you need to. It's not absolutely necessary, but they're making million of these things, so that probably saved them like $1 million or something like that from making them.
A USB-C port, which can be used for a bunch of things.
Okay, it seems like it has all the stuff that you pretty much need with the camera, the mic inputs, all that crap. So yeah, that's cool. That's nice. Bunch of menu stuff to put in. Okay, cool. What's cool with the handle? Let's see. Top handle.
When shooting at lower angles, really easy.
Oh, man, this is too much information, bro. Like, I don't know how you guys sit through this stuff, man. I'm not gonna lie. If you have any specific questions about like what I think about some of these cameras, let me know. I'd definitely love to test them and try them out. I am trying to do a series where I kind of put all the Canon cameras that I've used to the test, so we can see what kind of images we can get out of them even today in 2025. And so if you have like a Canon XL2 or Canon C100, even the first 300, C300, I'd love to talk to you so that we can go over it and try to do another one of these. Let's check out all the cameras up to date and see how that looks. Well, with that said, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you want the Canon EOS C50, I think it's a great camera. Honestly, they're all good at this point. And it looks like it has a lot of cool features that might apply to you. They don't all apply to me, but honestly, it looks good. The price, I think, is pretty good. These things used to cost $15K, back in the day. So I think it's priced at a very, very good place. If you are saving up to get an FX3, I don't think that, unless you just want to test it. I think you can get a Canon C50, test it out, see if you like it, maybe lose $200, $300, resell it, and get a Sony FX3, But rent the cameras out too. Go to Lens Rentals or any of these other places that you can rent out the cameras and test them out for a little bit. Make sure it's something you really like, because it is a commitment. The one cool thing about Sony and Canon is that they kind of retain their value. So you don't have to worry things like Komodo or like Red cameras get devalued so quickly. And I always recommend people to not buy Red brand new because they devalue so fast. So unless you have a project that you're going to get paid most of the camera up front, then don't do it. Even though I love Red and I love their color science and I love how their cameras look, and I've filmed several features on Red and I've enjoyed the process. I just can't commit to buying them as an investment because they don't retain value. With that said, I really appreciate you guys checking it out. Thank you for all the subs and everything else that you guys have been doing on my Instagram as well. Really appreciate the follows. And if you have any comments, please put them below. I always answer back. I try to get back to you. If you need any other insights on anything else that you're looking to do, hit me up, DM me on Instagram. I try to get back to you. All right, we'll be talking. Peace.
Oh yeah.